Hi, everybody. For the next several Meet the Devs, we thought it'd be a fun thing to just focus Q&A on the classes. I know everyone usually during Meet the Devs wants to snake in their question for the class or just hear about their class, and I totally understand that. And so usually it's mixed in with a bunch of general questions. And so for the next, I think probably 3 or so, uh, we we just want to focus just on certain classes for each one. So Sung put a poll up to have you all vote for which ones you should focus on first. We'll get to all of them, but we just like the priority in terms of the shows. So for this one, we're doing priest and warrior. I don't know if you have like the slides, Andre, or whatever. You could start sharing that, I guess. Um,
Uh, I don't. Can someone else share them? I don't have them open, and it's gonna mess up everything if I start sharing them. Okay, You know what? I'll try to make it work. Hold up.
okay. Um, Yeah,
Present.
I could send it to. I can't do it in this room, but I could maybe send it to Troy if you could do it. But
I
yeah, there's
got
not very many
this.
slides. It's basically a slide for priest, a slide for warrior, with some
Boom.
like thoughts from us of like things that we're gonna focus on. But yeah, basically, yeah, the next few Meet the Devs will just focus on the class discussions, and it's mostly Q&A with the community. We kind of want to hear feedback from the community. Obviously, we read everything in the Discord and that we hear on streams or that we hear through the other channels. But it's just a good chance to kind of talk some things out, which will be really good as we roll up to the Gold Master of the game. In the Meet the Devs after the class focus ones, we can do some more stuff about the systems or the game in general, which there is more stuff to talk about there. Some other stuff we haven't talked about. The Meet the Devs that we did right before the season 2 launch was a lot of things that we start planning to do for the future. So that's kind of like the big mother load. But there are some additional stuff that we didn't talk about there that we could talk about in the future. But yeah, anyway, so priest and warrior. I think priest is first.
Yep.
So you can go ahead and move on the.
Priest is first. There it is.
Yeah, let me see. Like, I wrote a couple things here, stuff that I know 100% where you want to focus on. One is the priest is still missing some spells in the divine mirror category. She just has one mirror right now.
Oh,
So the idea is to create 2 more mirror spells that are different and that have different uses and for different niches and maybe match better with some different weapons, that kind of thing. We have a lot of ideas for some of these. Which we kind of won't talk about today because we want to see if we can make them work first, but we have some fun ideas there. The other is Ray of Light, which is the channeled spell on the staff, like the beam. We want to polish this up a bit with like the camera and just presentation and stuff like that. So that is something we want to do. And then the third one is like scepter targeting improvements. So the scepter, if you hold the button down right, it like what I call paints targets, like they get lit up and they get auto targeted, then you release it. It's not quite working how we want it to work. It's and there's some improvements that we want to do there. So it's a little bit of a janky experience right now that I'm not super happy about, but it works more or less. And I notice the players don't really complain about it as much, but that is something that we want to also improve. So those are some like higher level things that were on my short list with the priest here. Troy, maybe did you have a couple things that you wanted to share, and then we could open up the Q&A.
Yeah, the divine mirror alternates are gonna be pretty cool. Hopefully, we're gonna try to work on those. I don't know. I have priest thoughts, but I don't want to like spoil anything or take anything away from what the players are gonna ask because it's more like nitty-gritty detail stuff that I've already been getting messages from people about and stuff for the last week or two. So I'm excited to hear what you guys think about the priest.
Yeah.
Okay, do you guys want to go to the warrior slide, or do we take Q&A about the priest and then we split it like that? How do you prefer?
We should just do the Q&A with the priest, and then after that we could do the warrior.
Okay.
So we can open up like questions in the group if anyone has stuff on the priest.
Sure.
And while we're waiting for questions, yeah, I noticed people talk about the Paladin. Yeah, the Paladin was like highly upvoted in the poll as well. I thought it'd be fun to put the Paladin up there, even though it's not out yet. If people wanted to talk about that, we can take some questions with the Paladin too after we get through the Priest and Warrior, perhaps, and then maybe we could show a little update on some stuff. I'll ping some folks on that team to see if I can tease some things.
Alright, we do have a question here from a person. ADB no TTV. How's it going?
Yo, hello guys.
Hey.
Yo.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Also, I wanted to ask if there's like any plans on doing potentially something to one of the weapons to have like a Shadow Priest or like a Shadow Priest ability, for example.
Yeah, this has been a question before. We're not against the idea per se, but there's no immediate plans. The last Meet the Devs, I think it was the last one, we did talk about the next class that we want to do after the Paladin, which is the Witch. And the Witch kind of lives in this sort of Shadow Priest area in terms of design and kit and stuff like that. So so I would kind of see her more of like a Shadow Priest. The Witch is supposed to be kind of like the anti-priest in a way of like, you know, the priest is the good priest and the Witch is kind of like, you know, not so good priest sort of thing. And kind of in the lore we've talked about like the witches were the original priests and then they got banished and then, you know, the holy priest became the new ones. So there is like some lore there with them kind of being a Shadow Priest class. But it's possible we could do something like a dark priest, Shadow Priest kind of kit with the current one as well at some point. It's something we've been playing with Paladin. I think we also shared last Meet the Devs is there's like a there's also kind of like a dark Paladin kit and like I think it's called the Red Creed. So that's something we're also playing with, even with the current Paladin's like armor and stuff like that. So yeah, not against the idea, but nothing to announce just yet.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, the Witch looks cool, I guess, or will be really cool. And may I have another question?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I wonder like the things on the slide, they don't really target the current issues on priests, at least for staff and scepter, I would say, not too much. Do we get like any extra evade attack potentially or changes to technical attacks? Is there anything planned for us?
Yeah, on which weapon?
Well, both staff and scepter do not really have an evade attack, or at least it doesn't look like they have one. They do have one,
Yeah.
or at least a trait for the evade attack is working, and they also share the same technical attack, which is not too strong either. It's very, well, yeah, it has very minor use because usually it's often cancelled in the beginning, or it just doesn't knock back at all.
Yeah, so the last patch that we just did in the Season 2 release, we added in the spell book all the different attacks that all the weapons have. And a lot of the melee characters, like even the priest does with the sword and buckler, they have a lot of what we call context attacks, which is like evade attack, or sprint attack, or jump attack, etc. We don't have a lot of these for the ranged weapons. Like even the hunter doesn't have a lot, right? She doesn't necessarily have the swiftbow has like an evade attack that we played with, which is like the slide attack, but there's not a lot of context attacks for those weapons, mainly because it's sort of awkward on the ranged weapons. But it's something we do want to experiment with more. What do you imagine like the evade attack would be like on, say, the scepter?
Well, I'm not playing scepter that much anymore. Maybe I can give some idea for the staff. Yeah, let's say like priest, of course, is doing damage and also healing. So maybe an evade attack would be like looking almost like the normal attack, but it like pierces and also heals people or something. Maybe an even faster attack, because getting attacks out as a staff priest when someone is kind of on top of you is almost impossible already. So trying to fight like the issues you have as staff priest with an evade attack would be good. So like if a faster attack, maybe pierce, maybe make it heal as well, like I said.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I mean, there was one we played with the wizard, which she has like evade attack. So it was supposed to be like a wave of damage that pierces through, kind of like what you're saying. So we could do something similar to that. Yeah. Okay.
I will say the current evade attacks, they do the animation is like 20% faster. It's basically the same as the first attack in your combo chain, but it comes out slightly faster and does more damage. For sure, at the very least, like it needs to be visually distinct right now.
Ideally, yeah. Like we
In the
also have to
immediate
trade.
future, yeah.
Like we do get back the energy. That's also noticeable. But yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks for the
Cool
questions.
video.
Actually,
Yeah.
talking about what Chris said, for a while in the beginning, the wizard had a sprint attack as well, and the sprint attack was there for like the whole duration of his production. But then we got a lot of internal feedback that it doesn't feel like I want a sprint attack on a ranged weapon, because a lot of times you just sprint, and a sprint attack would get you even closer to your target. And I'm a ranged weapon, but then if the sprint attack puts you away, then it just feels weird. And we ended up deciding that for some weapons, sprint attacks, for instance, just don't feel really good. All right, I'm gonna invite the next person. You guys let me know when you wanna
I
go
had
over
some-
to. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I had a little details shared too about the technical, the Holy Nova.
Sure.
That I just remembered. I did like in this recent patch, I tried to shorten up the time in the recovery frames until you can do another action. I saw that feedback and it was definitely true, where it's like it's kind of slow and it happens, and then your recovery frames are so long that somebody could just press like a gap closer and be right back on top of you after you've just pushed them away before you can even attack or something. So I try to improve that experience like a little bit, but I could definitely see it getting even like faster on like the startup or something, and faster on when you can retaliate or do another action after pushing people away with the knockback. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that is good feedback. If you feel like it's still too slow, just hit us up.
Yeah.
That's easy change, if it makes sense. All right, I'm gonna invite the hardest. I'm inviting everyone in order. So we have a bunch of hands now being raised. Yeah. Hello.
Hello, what's up, guys?
How's it going?
I don't want to take too
Yeah.
much of your time because there's probably a lot of warriors waiting in this lobby. So I'll just go ahead with it. At the moment, to me, priest kind of feels like I'm talking about range priest as well, because I feel like melee priest is actually in a decent spot. Play wise, it's very interesting class, but I think range priest now is like in a spot of being like this hybrid, like wannabe wizard class that also wants to be a support, but is neither of the two to like a full like 100% extent. And I was just wondering if there's like any options in the future to make it feel more support-like, because priest, especially ranged, shines most in like duos and trios setups. So I was just wondering how you see that going in the future, support-wise, healing-wise, stuff like that.
Yeah. My audio cut out there a little bit, but from what I heard, what you said is like you're asking if there's plans to kind of make the priest feel more like a support. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. It's interesting because in the very beginning of the priest design, a lot of the feedback internally with the team and even with players in the very pre-alphas was that they wanted the priest to feel like it could solo, that it could level up by itself, that it didn't have to have a partner, etc., which was always the goal anyway. But it kind of made us lean even further to try to make it so she doesn't have as much support in her kit, because we wanted to make it so that she's soloable. I think in the game today, I don't think anyone complains that the priest, you have to have a partner to play with her or something like that. So I think we achieved that goal. So something that we can do, I think, in the future, and we try to play with this a little bit with the sets, is to create some of the perks and some of the sets that are more for support. And so I think it's a devout set right now, which is it increases your healing, it increases maybe some stuff with increases some just accentuate her support role. So that's something I think we'll play with a lot more in the future, is creating new builds with new different perks and stuff like that that make her more of a support. It will also be better when the Paladin's also in the game, because then you have two options if you want to play support or have some support in your team. But it's this delicate balance between having like a support class or like a healer or something, and not feeling like a Trinity game where you need to have like a support to even play, right? Which I don't think is the case of the game right now. I see most squads, have a really diverse group of, sometimes it's like 2 hunters and a warrior, or like a warrior wizard rogue or something, and that works in the game right now. So I just don't want to push the game too much to where it's like, okay, we can't queue until we have like our healer, you know what I mean? But fair enough. I do think that we could play around with there more after we get everything kind of solidified. So that's good feedback.
All right, thanks. And what's also like follows up in that is at the moment, because like Spirit Class was removed way back, but still now as a priest, if you have like one full-on team fight or big fight, like 9 out of 10, you will just run out of spirit like completely, especially if you use cards like efficiently and stuff like that. And at the moment, obviously, in Extraction, we have the statues to get our spirit back, but there isn't any way in actual combat to get it back, or not in the deathmatch and stuff like that. So the moment you run out is kind of also the moment you're gonna lose the fight on the long term. Is there anything like for us to get it back in combat, or like updated in the death matches or something like that?
Yeah, what do you think, Troy?
I don't know. That's interesting, because it's similar to like using mana burn on your healer in WoW, right? An older WoW or something, right? When mana still kind of mattered, and was significant. It's supposed to be a way that, in that case, right, in that game, that is one of your win conditions, right? When you're up against the wall of healer, is like, well, they've got a healer, this fight's going to go on forever, but if we can figure out how to draw it out long enough, then their battery's going to run out. So I don't think that spirit should essentially be like another energy bar that's like super easy to get back all the time. I think that if you run into like a really difficult team to fight, that probably is a good thing, that they've run you out of everything, and now like the scariest, most experienced teams sort of exhausted each other, and they have to like extract. But it does, there could be something cool, right, that is usable in combat, like you're saying, kind of like evocate or whatever. Yeah, and then the statues are not super reliable like either, right? Because the warriors can go around and smash them very easily and very quickly. So yeah, there could be something in combat or something like that, but I still think the overall like high level concepts of they run out eventually and it's not infinite will stick around, because that was sort of the design of Spirit, right? Is that it's not infinite potions, it needs to run out at some point in Extraction.
Yeah, I didn't. You may have mentioned this in what you were saying, but the priest used to have like a spirit flask, and that had charges on it, and you could find opportunities to use the flask to increase your spirit. So it was a way that you can kind of in combat or out of combat regenerate it on the fly without going to a statue. And then what the statue did was replenish that flask. I like that idea, but it had a lot of bugs with it, so we kind of put it on the back burner for right now, and instead just increase her max spirit, and then when you go to a statue, it regenerates it. So I think it's basically like, let's say you're doing an arena match or something, right, with the priest. The idea with spirit is like that's kind of like your sort of like your team's health bar in a way. Like once that's out, you're kind of boned. So, and it's kind of capped, because otherwise the match can just go on forever. Like if you can constantly keep healing people and stuff like that. So, but that said, I do like the gameplay of like the priest, a skill part of the priest, managing it really well and then replenishing it in opportunities and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's something we could play around with again, maybe with the Spirit Flask. in the future. Maybe we make it a card instead or something like that.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. I get what you're saying about it, but I feel like at the moment, since it's not really a healing class, it runs out just too quickly, especially in this like almost one-shot meta that we have at the moment. But I will see what we will get. No worries. But thanks anyway.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
feedback. All right, let's get Mr. Red in here. If he's
We're already
If he's still there.
11:30 already, so we could take like one more priest question, then we can move
one
on.
more priest question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Yo, hey, Red.
First of all, amazing game. I've been loving the game. Very, very much worth its cost at full cost. So I enjoy the game, and you guys are doing a phenomenal job. I just wanted to say, is the improvement on the priest? Are we going to improve the normal attack on the staff, on the auto targeting staff? Because the way it shoots off to the left and to the right sometimes really is irritating, especially when you take advantage of height. When you're in like the cities, or if you jump into a tree in some areas, in PvP, you now gained an advantage from your class, and you're playing your class at a really fun rate, but then you auto attack, and your auto attack hits a branch, your auto attack hits a wall, and it's a little bit frustrating that you almost have to charge the auto attack, which is difficult to do in PvP, to actually get it to shoot straight.
Yeah, the last patch we did, I think you're talking about the scepter, right? I think
Yeah,
the
the
last
scepter.
patch we did make the projectiles of the scepter, even on normals, a little more straight rather than flare out.
Mhm.
The reason why they flare out is mostly just for aesthetics, and also partially aesthetics and partially that it kind of makes the priest care about where she's at, and it's not always 100% optimal in all situations. It creates some depth to it, I guess. But it's something we can kind of look at some more, and that's another part of the scepter that I'd like to work on a little bit more. It's just kind of fine tuning some of those mechanics. Part of it too is also like the way that we do missiles, like it's some code thing of like how the missiles move and how the damage matches the missile and blah blah blah. So it's something on the list when it comes to just the scepter in general, is like working through some of those things.
Yeah, because comparatively to the other one that does the slash, like you can get that around corners and it'll still go through. Even if half the slash hits the wall, it still goes straight. So that feels really nice. You could use walls and stuff to your advantage, like against a hunter, cover. But the other one is just it felt so bad. The other one is just based on everybody else's what everybody else has been asking here. Have we thought of doing buff base dodge abilities for range class, where maybe giving a dodge attack will give you a buff on your next attack or on your next ability?
So like you dodge and use a scepter normal, and it buffs what?
Not just priest, but just on anyone, because we said that dodge attacks like on hunter are not really a thing, right? But maybe giving a buff to a dodge attack on the different weapons versus an actual attack, meaning like your next attack or your next ability does X.
Yeah, I'm open to the idea. The tricky thing with this, and this has been a question before, is just that these are very common in like action RPGs or like single player games, but the problem when it's like a networked online game is that like registering the timing and the latency of, it's like I look like I evaded that and I didn't get the buff, right? Because the client and server has to agree whether that happened or not, and it creates this anyway. It's just hard to execute, and it's hard to make sure that it doesn't feel buggy, and it feels like it's latent, or so that's just the challenge, right? That's also why we are we don't play with parries that much either, is because of the same reason. Is because there's a lot of like, I should have parried this and I didn't parry it. Like even in WoW, right? Like there's this thing where you could do like vanish as a rogue, and sometimes people would just like, I vanished and I still died. Well, it's because you vanished on your screen, but on the server it was a different story, and the server always wins that argument. And so it creates this, it makes the game feel like it's not performance sometimes, and it's not really like it's hard to really solve this problem because it really just comes down to like, you know, connectivity. We need like quantic computers to really solve this problem. But anyway, that's kind of why we don't really do very much of that yet, but we like the idea, and maybe we can play around with it. Like, for example, the rogue parry is us trying this out, and so yeah, we can experiment some more with that.
Okay,
I like the
thank
idea
you.
though. Yeah.
All right, thank you guys for your time.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. You guys want to go over to next class?
Yeah, I was gonna
let's
bring
do
up
it.
one thing. I was
Yeah,
gonna bring
of
up
course.
one thing on the priest that I got pinged on in the chat just now. Yeah, it seems like we've just kind of started to figure out for sure that any attack that is a twitch reaction is sort of a twitch just interrupts somebody when they're attacking. It doesn't actually do like a hit stun, like a stagger, but it's still an interrupt. And I think that twitch reactions are doing something weird on the priest where it's going through spirit shell. So that is not intended. That was the question, is if that's intended or not. It's not. Yeah.
Interesting.
That's the only
Yeah,
other
there's a
question
number
I
of like
saw.
little things with the priest that we do. You know, one of the things I didn't put in the slides are really kind of in my mind what things that I want to complete to make her feel like pretty much platinum quality in terms of completeness of features. But it doesn't address all like the balance and tuning and polish and bug fixing, which is probably most of whenever I read players' feedback, it's predominantly that. A big thing with her that we do want to fix, and it's like our white whale basically, is like the scepter bug where she gets stuck while she's swinging it and stuff like that. Like, these are all things that we're like working on to try to fix. They're very complicated. It has to do with, I don't know, they're very hard to reproduce and to fix. So the best way we can always fix like bugs like that is try to give us like steps that like 100% reproduce it, because it's one of these bugs that we're constantly trying to fix, but is really hard to reproduce. Okay.
All right. Well, good to know.
All right.
It's time to open the floodgates for warriors.
Okay. Yeah, I put up a couple things here. Again, these are things that I think that are on my list of things that we want to do. To complete the warrior, to finish out his kit, to make sure he has all alternates and all his categories and stuff like that. One thing we do want to improve is, if you remember in the very beginning when we launched the game in pre-alpha, gosh, this was like over a year ago now, I guess. The feedback on the warrior was like, he just doesn't feel like Master of Arms. He doesn't have a lot of other weapons. You know, he has his main hand weapon. We made it so he could switch between two weapons at any given time, so he feels like, you know, that's an innate bonus that he has that no one else has. So there is that. But the second thing we did was we added his class ability is sidearms, so he carries other weapons with him, like the spear or the warhorn or, you know, the sickle or the iron fist, etc. So that kind of made him feel more of like weapons are just coming out all over the place. But I think these were some of the earliest spells that we did for this idea that we call like class tools. And his class tool set is like sidearms, like he carries like another suite of weapons with him. And so we want to revisit these and kind of polish them up and give them very specific use cases and make them feel all strong and interesting. And like, it feels like a choice when you're bringing in your sidearms into a session. Right now, I think most people, Warhorn is like usually the top pick, and maybe the spear, and then the others are kind of like, well, I don't know, you know. So we want to just polish those and make those more interesting and crazier. So that's like one thing on the list. The other is we do want to improve heroic leap. It has some issues of like, you think you should leap something, or it like gets caught, or like bugs out and you leap to the moon. basically. Like we basically have to redo the code completely for it, and so it's on the list to do for Gold Master. So that's the second thing. And the third one I had up on here is he does need a third alternate for the chain. Right now he has the chain grip, which we didn't do like another alternate for the chain grip for a long time because everyone just loved the spell. No one really complained. No one said, hey, we want more alternates. But the goal with the alternates is to create different gameplay situations, to make it like you have different builds that do different strengths and weaknesses. And so the second one we did was the Iron Tether, which when you throw it down, it tethers AoE chains people together to an area. So that was the second one we did. So the third one we're still talking about. One idea that we were throwing around is like he has like a whip, and the whip kind of like it does grab somebody, but then he can like use it to manipulate, move them different directions or something. So you have a little more control. It's a little faster than the chain grip. You don't have to like, you know, but it has a shorter range, but then it has like a different niche. So that's really important, by the way, with the alternates, is that they always feel like they have a different like gameplay intent or different niche. So anyway, those are the three ones off the top of my mind that I did put up here. So I know like Heroic Leap also is like really good right now because of some builds and stuff like that, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we will take a look. Obviously, we always don't want one build to just rule all of them, and want them to have different strengths and weaknesses or different synergies with your party or synergies with the map or with your gear or weapons, etc. So yeah, it's just tuning, and it was a new thing that we introduced last patch. So yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts on Warrior. Troy, I don't know if you have anything.
I think you kind of hit most of, like, one of the big ones is the Heroic Leap is not what we want it to be, and you guys have seen, like, it's crazy the build right now where you're spamming a lot, but even when people are doing that right, they're rubber banding all over the place and teleporting, and so it's kind of janky to fight against too. What else is going on? At a high level, I know we're going to get a lot of questions about this. The community did a good job of bringing awareness to me last weekend. They were sending me clips and stuff of how many like sort of touch of death combos there are on the Warrior that have been solved and are commonplace now. It's not just like a handful of people that know how to execute them. It seems like a lot of the Warrior players know how to execute them, so it's made the Warrior really strong. Yeah, but in general, just to kind of nip this in the bud, I will say, like, we don't want there to be 100-0 combos without people being able to press a button. I've said that before in a much earlier Meet the Devs. So we're gonna figure out how to how to fix that and get it down to, you know, a reasonable level again, where like a single combo is like at most like 40 to 60% of somebody's health bar, so you have a chance to retaliate, barring any kind of extreme gear gap or something, right?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, that makes sense. Are you guys ready for some questions?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, Warriors, it's time.
Hi, I'm Main here. Thank you for having me. So, I'd like to just quickly talk about Mason Shield. I'd like to have you guys' opinion and goal for Mason Shield, because I think it's been feeling to a lot of people like the weapon doesn't have a specific weakness. It deals both insane amount of damage with confirmable combos, and it's a fucking rampart that we cannot break through. What's the goal? And if it's due to a bug that the combo is true, when can we hope something to be done about that? Because like the Iron Grip into Shield Bash into Quake combo deals more than a raw backstab, and I don't think that's a great thing. Basically.
Yeah, so really the goal with the Mason Shield is that you use it in times where it's, you know, we necessarily don't have tanking in our game because there's not threat. A creature doesn't, you know, you don't build threat on Morthog and then just tank him or whatever. It's different in our game. It's kind of maybe more similar like Monster Hunter, where it kind of bounces around targets and stuff like that. That said, the Warrior does, funnily enough, have a taunt with the Warhorn. Most people use it for rage generation, not the taunt, which I totally get. But anyway, he does have like that taunt ability. And so when you're using the Mason Shield, the goal with it is it's supposed to be a bit tankier than the other weapons. You know, you have more block value. You're able to do damage while you're blocking using the technical attack, which is the Shield Rush. And it's kind of really about like disruption and kind of CC. That's why you do the headbutt and stuff like that. I do agree. I think generally the Mason Shield these days is pretty strong, and it kind of makes the other weapons feel like they don't have as much power. But in the past, it was a thing where the Mason Shield it was the opposite. People complained that it didn't really have a use. No one really used it. It wasn't interesting, etc. So I think we kind of accomplished the goal there. So probably what we should do is revisit kind of the damage numbers. Maybe we juice up the Wrecking Ball and axe damage or retune those, because the goal with that is supposed to be the two-handed weapons that don't have block, right, are supposed to be higher damage. And so you switch between them at different moments in the combat session. For example, if you're like half health, you may want to switch to the Mason Shield until you kind of get your footing, and then switch back to like the Great Axe or something to do more damage or burst or whatnot. And so anyway, that's kind of like the goal. I think it's probably just a tuning thing there. But yeah, Troy, what do you think?
Yeah, I've mentioned this before, actually to Adriano. We had a discussion about this previously, but the confirmable combo, like, we didn't plan that, right? That was something you guys sort of figured out. And I'm not exactly sure what the solution is, if we disjoint it a little bit or kind of reduce the damage potential from it. It is cool to have like a combo like that, right, in a game. And it's only like 3 buttons, right? So that's a cool one where it's not some super inaccessible thing to like a new player. So we'll probably just like try to bring some of the damage down, I think, from the Mason Shield, because the utility and the defensive part of it should really be its identity more so than damage, so that, like Chris just mentioned, the axe and the death ball can shine as the high damage dealers and not the Mason Shield. Yeah.
And I mean, what is odd is that the combo is not even true on Hunter and Priest, but it is on any other class. So the combo becomes weak against Priest and Hunter, but is extremely strong against everything else. So I'm not sure if this is due to a bug or if this is...
Yeah, that we think there's a bug going on there, and it's interesting that this combo specifically actually kind of shined a light on this bug and showed it to us, that it exists, because we didn't really know about it before. From what I understand, though, the combo they just swap Quake with Spear, right? And the damage difference is pretty negligible. It's like 100 damage difference versus Priest and Hunter. Something.
I mean, yeah, that was just my point. I don't want to speak for Wires, but I think a big part of the community will agree. Mason Shield feels really strong on every aspect, like damage, tankiness, utility, mobility. That's it. And yeah, at least we are heard. That's all that is important to me. Thank you guys for your time, and keep doing the awesome job you're doing. Thank you.
Thanks for the great question.
Yeah, no, but anyway, we hear you on that. I think we have to do a whole pass on like most of the weapons of the classes. I think the big focus in early access is really to make them fun and have a gameplay, and then at the end we'll kind of like do a final kind of tuning pass to make sure that they all feel viable and have a use in different situations. It is a very, really big red flag when something is like there's 0 downsides, there's 0 reason to ever use anything else. So yeah, we will look at that.
Thank you.
Alrighty, let me get ADB again with a warrior question this time, maybe. Yo, hi again.
Yeah, crazy that I get taken twice. Yeah, mainly I was wondering about the ranges of some specific attacks that are primarily like to be found on warriors, it seems like. Like, for example, the shockwave, the Mason Shield has like a Z-axis of like 3 meters or something, which is weird. And then often it's also getting memed on the jump attack from the X that has apparently incredible range. I wonder if it's like a warrior related issue, or is it maybe due to desync?
The height on the Quake thing is because it's a sphere collider, and that's how we're handling the, circular shape that it's registering the hits in. It could be like a cylinder, right? And we could reduce the z-axis, but the problem with cylinders is then it brings up all sorts of issues with like, well, I'm standing on a hill, so it now needs to be slanted, but then it's like you might be standing on a side of like a rock or something, right? And now like it's like not hitting a guy that's like right in front of you or something if it's now like a slanted like cylinder, if that kind of makes sense. So that's sort of why it has such a crazy z-axis, is because it has the radius that it has on the ground, and spheres are just easier for kind of handling that situation without having to do something super crazy and custom. So unfortunately there's not much we can do about the z height registration on the Quake at the moment without also reducing the whole radius of the skill. Yeah, so I hope that answers that question about the height on Quake. What was the second one? 'Cause I think
Well, for example, the jump attack from the X, it has apparently especially a lot like a long range, like way longer than it seems like.
Yeah, the axe jump attack.
Yeah. Like,
Did
of
he
course, we all
travel
know
so
there's
far,
desync.
or-
Wait, I can maybe send a screenshot in the stage right now.
Sure.
Yeah, it has
It's
a
like
lot
a
of
meme on.
brute motion baked in. It's crazy.
It like the range is insane. It is like
This meme from Krizak.
yeah, that's a meme because well,
it's so
the rope
good.
itself is really far and he still gets hit, right? That's like the main issue, and it happens really often on warrior. It seems like it happens even on base attacks, not to that extent, of course, but especially the jump attack like seems to be something weird, which might be like only because of desync, but yeah, I don't know.
We can take a look at that, especially if it's consistent.
Yeah, the extent of how far the hitboxes feel like they're gonna reach, it can feel like longer than what's actually built into the game and was designed. If one player on one side or the other has like 150 milliseconds of ping or something, either the person receiving the attack or the person sending it, then like there can be like, you guys have gotten some really weird, crazy screenshots of like, what's up with the hitbox on this thing or something. Sometimes it is because we made a mistake and it's too big, but a lot of times like it'll have some kind of like slush in there that ends up, because of the timing on the server and how long it took, like it'll look like the hitbox is actually like 20% larger than what it was. But I think on the jump attack and the axe, it might just have like a really long hitbox, and the motion in the jump attack is like, it's fixed, as I'm sure you guys have noticed. It's kind of the same problem that the heroic leap has right now, where is always sending you like this specific distance and propelling you, and it's not based on like the physical momentum of the warrior at all. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't do a jump attack further because he's sprinting versus walking or something like that.
There's some there's some mechanic that you can actually excel your speed mid-air just by swapping weapons. Some abuse, I guess. But yeah, maybe.
And then doing the jump attack, or just doing the weapon swap while you're airborne?
I think then doing the attack, mid-air, something like that. I've seen a video of it, but yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to steal too much more time of like actual warrior mains, so thank you.
No, thank you.
What's up with all the non-warrior mains asking questions?
So I did add a couple slides to the deck, Andre. Don't go to them yet, but they will be some Paladin stuff that we get, or some concept art that we'll tease at the show at the end of the show.
Okay, I'll put that. If you're watching on Twitch, we'll put that on YouTube in post because I don't have them saved. But you'll see it there. Watch it on.
You downloaded the deck. I see. Okay.
Yeah. But I can share it here. I can share it on Discord. That's fine. All right, let's get more people. I'm gonna get Arcavian. Arcavian had his hand up, I think, from the priest, but he's still holding it up. So I guess.
Yeah.
How's it going?
See, what's up, bro? Well, since you mentioned the priest real quick, I just wanted to say an idea for the priest mirror would be to when they place one mirror down, they'll be able to place a second mirror down and be able to walk in between mirrors or into the mirrors to teleport to the other one, similar to like that episode of Naruto. You know what I'm talking about? But that was side note. But to the warriors, I have a lot to say. I'm just saying. As a warrior main, okay, as a warrior main, I don't believe in I'm biased at all, because I believe that warrior currently is one of, or if not the most overpowered class in the game. But if we were to look at the overall warrior, what it has to offer, the skills and everything, the weapons that it has to offer, every individual skill in itself isn't overpowered except for heroic leap. Mainly reason why heroic leap is overpowered because it's not proper, and because currently when you press the heroic leap, as soon as you release the button, the cooldown starts. And as you're flying through the air, the cooldown's already ticking down. So that's another problem why that's overpowered. But that's and it's and Warpath right now also needs, I would say, some work, because it doesn't feel like it fits the warrior. But that's a side note. The biggest problem with warrior right now, like Adriano was saying, was the Mason shield. And it's not because necessarily the Quake combo. That is a problem, I would say. But comparing the Mason shield to not even to the other weapons in the game, but let's other weapons to the warrior itself. Mason shield alone, excluding other weapons, has a jump attack snare effect, has a bleed effect, can reduce the target's armor, has 10% armor reduction themselves, has a shield bash that can break all block pips, has 8 block pips themselves. It has a headbutt silence that can be repeated. It's got the new shoulder that was given to him allows them to get a free enrage when they shield bash, which gives them, a 10% health bubble. There's a lot of things that is just. Also, the Quake has a huge radius compared to like the Whirlwind Axe, when the Whirlwind is considered to be the offensive weapon. But the Mason Shield Quake is so wide, and it also applies a snare. So there's just an insane amount of utility and potential things that is attached to the one weapon compared to other weapons of its same class.
Holy, that was
Is there any intention? Yeah, is there any goal to? Is there any goal to possibly delete Mason Shield? Not literally, but like, make it into a defensive weapon and causing individuals to swap to an offensive weapon?
Yeah, no, I think especially that part of it is something, makes total sense. We should do that. Yeah. Go ahead, Troy. Yeah.
Nothing. I think you did a good job there of listing all like 12 things that the Mason Shield can do. In terms of the utility, like the CC and stuff. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also feel like one of the most overpowered things, side note, is I don't think it should be fair that if anybody was given the opportunity, let's say if I was AFK and I was just sitting there, I don't think any class should be given the opportunity to spam silence an individual. I don't think that should be possible. I don't think a rogue should be able to spam a paralyzing dart. I don't think a warrior should be able to spam headbutt silence. That alone is incredibly overpowered, including all the other things that I've mentioned with Mason. But that thing is crazy that you could just repeatedly headbutt silence. Even if the opportunity is presented, no class should be able to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, and I think the heroic leap. I wonder if we could do like start cooldown on land.
We can start cooldown on land. Yeah, we could do something like that. We can just also increase the. I think nothing he said is untrue. Good, well said.
Right. No. Well, one question I want to ask about Warpath, because Warpath is one that we're changing, improving, and still working on. Why do you feel like it doesn't feel like Warrior? What part of it?
I've been playing since season 1, and the combat that I've experienced has felt very fluent and very engaging. And Warpath in itself, I prefer the older Warpath, even though it was a little overpowered because of how fast you were going, but it felt more smoother in a sense. Whereas right now it feels like just like the animation and the audio effect just feels like it just feels like it's from a different kind of game. Like it doesn't feel like it matches this game entirely, and I just feel like it's just a very I don't know. It just feels like a clunky, weird ability. It's strong in itself that it does the highest amount of damage compared to charge and heroic leap when you do the effect, but it's very readable. You're very slow, and when you're running around with unstoppable weapon, you're not really unstoppable because you still get snared and you still get slowed. So it just feels like a very odd ability. Right now, the meta 100% is the heroic leap, but even if that was fixed, people would still use charge and heroic leap more than the warpath currently.
Yeah,
I did like the fact that you took away the animation cancel.
Mhm.
you're right. Yeah, Warpath is supposed to be. Yeah, maybe we can look at the snare part of it. Maybe that's
Yeah.
more important than
You
being
should probably-
unstoppable with the attack. Maybe it suppresses snares during the effect or something. But the idea is supposed to be like, while it's up, you can't really, it's not like a sprint where you can stop with it. It's like you're locked into the movement and you could steer. So you have more flexibility than charge. But then, yeah, and so that's kind of like the idea, and so you just kind of run away from the warrior when he's in that or whatever. The only thing I don't like about the ability, which is an issue no matter with heroic leap or charge either, but using it kind of defensively, that's where I thought you were going to go with it, was just that it feels just like an escape tool, not really initiation. Like the whole idea between all three of the abilities, charge, heroic leap, and warpath, is more about initiation. And the strength with warpath should be like, oh well, if the rogue or priest is running around a tree, it's a better option because charge is really hard to land with someone who's doing that, and then heroic leap can be a challenge to do with that. Heroic leap's more of like its strength is like verticality of like, oh well, someone's running up here, or it's you jump over like water or some environmental hazard or something like that. Which we don't have that much of it in the game right now, but in the future we might. So that's kind of like the idea between the three versions. But yeah, kind of your feedback is really presentation, like the visual, the sound, the aesthetic. That's something definitely we can improve upon.
I feel like the heroic leap and charge, going from the distance that you're traveling, the traveling distance you're going is very fast compared to warpath. I feel like warpath will probably feel better if warpath you travel the same distance you do right now, but you reach that distance faster. Because right now you're like very slow running and it feels very clunky and very readable.
Mhm.
But it would be nice if we just get to the same distance that it is right now, but just faster. And maybe that'll probably help it feel better. Because right now it just feels very slow and readable and clunky. I do like the fact that you can steer it. Maybe even reduce the damage a little bit, because it does 500 damage or whatever just from the attack, and charge does like 250 or something. So, like, that's kind of crazy as well. But like the mobility of it, I feel like it's improvement.
Yeah, kind of the inspiration for this ability was, if you play Dota, there's this hero, Primal Beast. He does something called, is it Trample, I think. Yeah, it's kind of like you can't really cancel it. He's like pacified during it, and he's doing damage, so you kind of want to run away while he's doing it, etc. So that was kind of like the idea. But yeah, we'll keep working on this one. Appreciate the feedback on it though, because it is one of these abilities that we've put in during early access that isn't fully complete yet. There's a few of these, so yeah, sounds good.
Last thing, please fix frenzy. It's currently only working if the weapon is sheathed. If you have the weapon out in your hands, the frenzy does not break block pips and doesn't do damage. It only works when it's on your back.
Yeah, really? Sounds bad.
You got that, Troy?
Oh yeah. With the way that it's been redesigned, where it's usable during any animation and it doesn't have like a shout animation, we're not totally sure like what the future is for, like if it's supposed to deal damage or not. I don't know. Because
Currently it just doesn't work at all. Even the weapon is drawn at all, it doesn't work at all. Even if I engage in combat and the weapon's out, it doesn't happen. If I attack something and then disengage and put the weapon and run back in, or even if I just don't even run away, if I sheath the weapon, the animation works. Or sorry, the effect works.
Okay.
We'll take a look at that.
Look at that. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. That was a very good wrap.
Love you.
Love you too.
All right. So what do you want to do? You want to do one more warrior question, and
it's up to you guys.
yeah, we can do at least one more.
I feel
Although
like
that was a good one.
That was a really good one. I feel like, yeah, like you said, the charge, in my eyes, should be probably the fastest one, but you can't steer it. You just pick a direction and you're going there fast. Leap should be probably slower than it is now. Right now, it's really fast, but it's broken on verticality. It shouldn't be broken. The point of it would be so you can use it on Z-axis. And then, yeah, Warpath should be kind of in between, where you can move it and more damage and all that. Yo, someone else invited.
Yeah, I brought up Otter. Otter's been here, part of our community for a long time.
Of course,
Haven't
of
heard from
course.
him
Hey, how you
in a bit.
guys doing?
How you
Good,
doing?
how are you?
Good. I wanted to talk about rage, rage generation, and specifically with warrior. I know the kind of idea behind it is you enter the fight and then it slowly builds up, and then you can kind of cash out your rage on abilities and stuff. But with all the changes to things like Warhorn and how dependent warrior can be on killing spree, which is the passive it gets at level 10, where if it kills something it gets 30 rage. I was wondering where the direction of rage generation and the idea behind what you should be using it on, because it's changing, and I just wanted to know like what the idea is of where it's going.
Troy, did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, like the Warhorn nerf, right, I wasn't totally sure like how much more rage was gonna be generated, because by lifting the restriction of generating rage while enraged, that was kind of masking like a lot of like what's going on with the rage generation in the warrior for a while, right? Is sort of because you're enraged, like I feel like with all the perks and the traits, you're enraged like almost 50% of the time you're fighting. I don't know if that's a totally accurate number. I'd be curious to hear if you think
It's a large
that's
uptime,
close or
yeah.
not.
It's a large uptime. Mm-hmm.
That's about how much uptime you feel like you have within rage. Yeah. So half the time you're fighting, and a lot of it too is tied to like doing an action right before you're going to do an attack, which is how you generate rage, is by hitting something, you know? So by lifting that restriction, I was hoping that the warrior would feel more how he's intended to feel, where he is generating rage more often. You know, we also increased the amount of rage he got from blocking, because the balance was the opposite last season with warrior versus hunter, right? They were having to deal with taking a lot of shots, and they were rage starved and all this stuff. So I don't know, in general, like, yeah, like I would like to see it, the warrior, like the design stay the same, but we kind of figure out how to increase the reward for hitting something, you know, and doing something active, and being engaged in the fight.
Would getting rage, because sometimes it feels like, specifically with blocking things, and if you're intending to gain rage, sometimes it feels like the pips that you're losing to gain rage are not worth it. So I was wondering if there would be like a thing where if you're gaining rage depending on how many pips you lose when you block, or does any of that factor in how you gain rage, or is it just...
Yeah, it's rage per pip
Okay.
lost. Yeah, so maybe it's just not enough or something, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, I was just wondering, because you know, some things, when I'm going into a fight, let's say if I don't have any warhorns, and well, previously when it still gave you, I think it gave you like 60 rage or something, when you're in, and now that it has a cooldown, when you're in the middle of a fight and you burn through your rage, if you're playing something that's very hard to hit, like a hunter or a rogue, something that's kiting you very well, it's very hard to build rage back up. Very hard. And so you're stuck there at the default, which is like 20, and then you choose to pick between maybe like Iron Grip or Charge or anything that has the base cost of 20, and then you can slowly just it feels like you're waiting for your Warhorn, or you're looking for another way to get rage because hitting that person is inconsistent. And that can be, it's a very, 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 I know it's supposed to be like a weakness of the warrior, but it's a very, very huge weakness of the warrior. And the warrior has had power given to it with its weapons, like with Shield Bash getting enraged with the new shoulder, and the silence on the mace with the evade attack. But the general thing that I feel where I'm not having as much fun as Warrior is like the rage. When I lose it, I can't get it back, and then I feel like I'm losing fights because I don't have rage.
Yeah. What are the things you want rage for? Is it for the mobility, for the initiation tools, or is it for damage? Or...
It's well, it depends on like the econ of the rage, like what I need at the time. Because things have different costs and cooldowns, it's very hard to decide. But for the most part, it would be mobility. For me specifically.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's
something
the
I've
big thing.
considered is I wonder if the warrior design would be better if the mobility tools weren't rage dependent and were separate. They're on cooldowns, and then instead rage was very focused on just increased damage, because then you wouldn't feel like so dependent on it to just mobilize yourself and get around. It would be more balanced experience, and then because rage's vision is supposed to be, oh, the more rage he gets, the more angry he is, basically, and the more damage he does, and that's supposed to be the intent. Where I feel like a lot of the warrior gameplay is like, oh, more rage equals I'm more mobile and I can play more frenetically, which is, I'm not against that per se. It's just I wonder if that's causing more problems than not.
Heroic Leap build too right now is kind of an example of like, then when you have like a lot of rage, then it's just it's like impossible to get away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now I was just wondering on the direction arc because I've been playing the game since November of last year, and I played all the classes, and I do like all the classes in the game, but the one that I identify with the most is the warrior, and I haven't had as much fun lately with it than I did back in the alpha, and that could just be, that's just number tunings. That's not that big of a deal. But I was just generally wondering on the thing because I had some ideas for like Warhorn, like maybe if you had more enemies in the area, you could get more rage depending on how many things you taunt, stuff like that. Or maybe when you use Warhorn, there's like a zone around you where you passively gain rage and you have to stay inside that zone. Or there's tons of things to generate rage and make the gameplay more dynamic than what it is. Now I know that there's tons of warrior players that are better than me and can do the 0.01% stuff, but I'm more casual now. I don't play the game as much as I used to, and
Right.
it seems like I'm using a huge amount of effort to either have rage, or if I have rage, I'm using it for very specific things, and it feels very limited. But again, that could just be like messing with numbers, cost, and rage building and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for someone like you who's played the game for one of our longest players, I'm not surprised that folks or the players are feeling like, well, it's it's kind of the same thing because it's like the same game more or less since November structurally. I mean, we haven't added any new armor sets or perks. Sometimes we change the perks on some of the weapons and armor and stuff like that, but we haven't introduced new ones yet. We have introduced a lot of content and new experiences since November last year, what you're talking about, and there's still more to come there. But I think it makes perfect sense. But as we add more mechanics and depth to different things and different ways to play the classes, I think, like you're saying, some of these ideas I think are great perk ideas. So that's definitely stuff I think over time we will add. Right now we're just trying to like really polish and improve our existing stuff, and then once we release Goldmaster and then get on our footing, then we can start adding a lot more horizontal progression and options and builds. Like that's something it's actually really not hard to design. It just takes time to like do all the art and stuff like for the sets and that kind of thing.
All right, sounds good. Thank you guys for your time.
All right, thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Andre, I think we can kind of close it out now and tease or show some of the Paladin stuff, and then in the meantime we
Okay.
could probably answer one or two general game questions. I know right now we are talking basically about just these two classes, and that is the goal in the next few meet to devs because this is something that a lot of people have asked for. But if there are a few general game questions, we could answer those as well.
Yeah, actually there was one that you actually answered in chat, but everyone's asking it, so I think it'd be good to answer it for the video, so it stays. You wanna answer that one first, or it's
Which one?
the one about Morthog missing? I'll invite Bronzebeard. He said he wants to.
Oh,
ask
I don't think it
that.
was Morthog. They're talking about I think they're talking about the Ogre and Baron's
the Ogre.
estate that's not there in Solos
Oh.
and Knight. I think, is that what they're talking about?
Yeah, the ogre and knight, and then also I wanted to talk about crypts on solos, just the lack of elites not being there anymore. It seems like when you guys did the pass through, you removed a lot of the elite mobs rather than the trash mobs.
Yep. Yeah, so that is something that we have plans to take a pass on. Right now, we're doing some surgery on the map. We're upgrading the engine build and doing some surgery on the maps and stuff, because whenever you upgrade the engine build, everything kind of usually there's bugs and stuff. So that's what we're very focused on doing right now. So after that settles, that is one of the things on the list, is to revisit the maps and kind of juice them up a little bit. I think more or less they're in a better spot than they were season 1 in terms of like density for the average player. Like it was just a lot for, I think, the average player just to go in with. It was probably too much. But I think we can add back in some more higher difficulty rare mobs and stuff like that. And that is by far like a larger vision thing that at some Meet the Devs I'll talk about that, of like the next chapter on the next major piece of the game that we want to work on, which is has to do about events and has to do about more rare spawn things and yada yada. There's a lot to that, but
Okay,
yeah. So
awesome.
we'll add the ogre back and we'll add some stuff to the crypt as well.
Awesome. Yeah, it just seemed like the elite mobs kind of disappeared on solo. And then the last thing is gargoyle chest win.
What the?
Yep.
The
What are you
warrior one?
talking about? It's there,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. No. We want the gargoyle. We want the gargoyle chest. All right, I'm out of here. Appreciate you guys.
Oh, okay.
He said it. All right, I'm ready for the next slide. I don't know what this is either. So, drum rolls.
Yeah. So what these are some concept arts of Paladin weapons that we're working on, the 3D versions of right now. These aren't named or anything just yet. So they're just some concept art that we wanted to share. So each Meet the Devs in these class ones at the end, we'll show some Paladin stuff for the next one and the one after that. I think there'll be 2 more. So yeah, these are some hammers here. I asked Cole to come up, but he's shy, so it's just us talking through it. But yeah, there's each of the different sets. Usually when we do the weapons, they kind of correspond to a set, so they kind of fit the aesthetic of it. Yeah, these are 2 hammers here, and then you can go to the next slide, Andre.
Boom.
Yeah, so this is kind of like the sword shield of this motif. It's like this kind of more white stone kind of look, like it's more of a Stonehaven set. So paladins have different orders or different they have different orders that are in different parts of the world that correspond to different kingdoms and that sort of thing, and we want each kingdom and each order to have like a different aesthetic and vibe. So there's like this white and gold one with a little bit of jade there, and then you can move on to the next one.
Oh, yeah,
This is more of like
this.
a darker paladin one, which is there's like a more of a. I think we showed this maybe at the last Meet the Devs, but it's like more of a black set, black and gold set. So yeah, this is another different creed, different order, different aesthetic.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen these. This is my first time seeing these.
Yeah, me too. Or I saw like the sketches like earlier last week, but
we showed the paladin.
yeah.
I think
These are all the stuff that we're working on right now.
No, the one we saw was a paladin wearing armor that kind of looks like it's part of this set, the white one. We haven't seen the dark set yet. But yeah, we have more paladin stuff to share,
Crazy.
and then the next one.
Also, I don't think the sword is that small. Actually, the shield is just ginormous. So you'll see when we show it off, right, Andre?
Yeah. The sword is.
Paladin sort of has like a wall shield. Yeah.
Yep. He has a massive shield. This is kind of the correct size difference between the shield and the sword, approximately, just eyeballing it. Yeah, this one, I think the sword is just smaller in the image. It's more like this. Yeah, and then the big axe. And then the third weapon is Hush Hush. For now. You want to take any more questions, or you want to?
Yeah, let's do like one or two more, and we can do
Okay.
generic game questions if anyone has any, and then we can close it out.
Sounds good. I don't know if this is a generic question or Paladin related. I'm just inviting
Yeah,
people.
it could be anything where priest
Okay.
is just free,
Got it.
your
Got it.
choice.
Hey.
Yo.
Hey, what's up?
Yo.
Yo.
All right. So, I had a question in regards to loot tables for different game modes because I've noticed in my most recent 100 hours of playing that solos definitely have worse loot tables than duos and mixed. I feel as though this should be the opposite, because when you're playing mixed and you have 3 people, sure, there's slightly more mobs, but the PvE doesn't scale, so your clear time is essentially 3x faster. So you're getting way better loot in a much faster time. And I feel like if a solo were to be playing alone, the effort that it would take for them to clear a mob alone should reward them better, or at least make it so that the reward is equal, I guess, to what mixed is. Because it doesn't feel good to have to go into into mixed as a solo and then, potentially get 3-manned or 2-manned, whatever. So.
I do know, well, the one thing in the duos and trios is they do have more higher tier creatures, so the loot will be different just because of that. So the higher tier creatures will just have higher tier loot, is a big thing. But I don't think the chest or the grab loot or anything like that is different.
I don't know for certain. Obviously, you guys would know better. But just from my most recent 100 hours of playing, I have a very firm conspiracy belief that the moment I load into the raid, I'm either going to be getting a green seed, meaning I'm going to be getting a lot more green loot, I'm going to get a blue seed, or I'm going to get a purple seed. And in those scenarios, I have gotten significant amount of blues, purples, and greens based on whatever I believe that seed for the map is. And it only happens in mixed and duos. It doesn't happen in solos.
That's
Interesting.
interesting.
There could be a loot conspiracy. There could be truth to it, because we never know. It could be in the code. If it is, then it's unintentional though. But we will look into it. I mean, loot seeds in every game is like a conspiracy. But I was just looking at John. He just told me that this isn't the case. It's not set up this way. So if it is, then it's something we could look at. Yeah. Anyway, I would just say it's not intentional if it is happening. So, but we will take a look at it. We have noticed some weirdness with loot a little bit, but we can't really reproduce it. More of just. But yeah, we'll keep it in mind.
Okay. And just real quick, is there any update on when we are bringing back the wild leather transmute into the game? Because currently it is not available.
I will check on that and get back to you. I don't know. I have to ask John, but yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
We'll
Thanks
tag
for
you
question.
when I get the answer.
Yeah, I'm getting the same feeling with the loot seed when I play other games, like loot drop based games. I 100% believe there's a conspiracy in those games. I don't think there's one in others, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, how loot is supposed to work is that every time you go to interact with it, it rolls a chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it truly is random. But sometimes the game what they do is they do roll it all at the very beginning when you zone in. And when you go do it, it's already predetermined because it is still random but you just rolled it when you joined.
I will say, I think there is actually something hidden. I mean, TFT, for example, Teamfight Tactics, has been around for a very long time. And they just recently figured out like an actual theory that was the case, and Riot devs looked into it, and it turned out to be true, where you would re-roll for your characters in TFT, and you wouldn't get them, even though like the game is telling you have a 40% chance, for example, to get a rare, but it's not giving it to you, and you know that they're available in the pool because no one else in the game is running it. So something, I don't know if
the wave
it's
theory?
the same exact
Was it
theory
true?
that's happening,
Yeah,
but
exactly. I
it
mean,
was
that's why I'm
true, yeah.
saying it's not impossible. It's potentially possible, but it's hard to like know. You know, I play the game a lot. I don't really notice that, other than sometimes I feel like sometimes I will get no gemlins if I destroy all the chests or the crates, or sometimes I get a string of them. So that's why sometimes I feel like maybe there is something funky going on.
What kind of game mode do you usually play?
You could just
no.
talk right here. Okay. All right, John wants.
I normally play
here's our
solo,
item.
but I feel as though I've been forced into mixed and duos for better loot.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to add to that we've definitely noticed that. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed on the vendors. A lot of times they'll sell the exact same item in 2 or 3 quantities, and the chances of that are very low. There was also a time when we had Morthog dropping the giant skull, and he dropped it like 8 times in a row, which is like, you know, a 1 in 200,000 chance. So I do think there's something. Garrett is like an expert on random number generation. We need to have him look at it. We've just kind of had bigger fish to fry right now, because it really is just like sometimes you get a really good seed and sometimes you don't. I just also wanted to confirm that the drop chances aren't different for solos and duos and trios, other than what Chris mentioned, that there's more specials. Specials are by far, you know, the best drops. And the spear, I see you, Gil. I have a fix in for the spear. He was missing its clock table. Thanks for calling that out. And then lastly, the wild leather. Yeah, that'll have to come in a hot fix. Yep.
Okay,
that's
cool.
it for loot, unless you have anything else.
No, that was my question was mainly just about the loot tables. Yeah, something just seemed off.
I'm a heavy conspiracy theorist for RNGs, so we are going to look into it.
Yeah.
Thanks. I know it could be a big battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right.
Thanks for the question then. That's a good one. Like you said, this one's like kind of hard because you never expect it to be real, but maybe there is some weird bug in there that creates a seed with more epics. I have no idea. But our loot is generated when you open the chest, like Chris said. Yes, I know WoW was doing a long time ago. I don't know if you guys know. In Burning Crusade, WoW was doing raid loot was being generated when you join the instance. Actually, I heard the crazy story from WoW back in the day, where rogues would. There was like some add-on where you could check what there is on each boss, and rogues would check if warglaves would drop, and they would just reset the raid until warglaves dropped. Is that real? Is that a thing? I heard it got patched like really fast.
No, it wasn't. Random was random in WoW, but it did. You did.
It wasn't real.
Have weird things. Like there was guilds. The guild who killed like Illidan first and killed it every week never got a glaive, but then yet there was some guilds who got like 3 of them, right? So I don't know. It was kind of shitty. That's why over time they changed it to more of like you 100% get a token and then combine them or whatever. Yeah, random being random. Humans can't do well with that.
Yeah. It doesn't feel random. That's why it's hard to tell if is there an actual bug or is it just it feels that way. All right, let me get Katrikan here. He's got the good questions. You let me know when you guys gotta go or you want to end it. What's up,
we could just end on this one.
Okay.
Hello. Oh crap! If I'm the last one, no pressure. I have like
No pressure.
six topics to talk about, and I can't pick any.
Number 2.
I'm gonna pick one that I thought the day that I saw you guys implementing. I saw the video of your new season, choosing to implement fishing. It gave me hope, basically, that the feedback that I gave you, or the idea back in the day, Chris, was something that you guys considered and you actually wanted and liked it and implemented into the game. And something that kept me awake that night was, let's say, something like a new map, new content. It's a shame Cole is not in the call, because I know he's a sucker for this kind of lore stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and tell you about the mines that the goblins are digging. Would you guys be interested in learning what the underground of the Greenwood forest holds? Or is that something that I should, not hold you too much of your time off? And is the underground of Greenwood something that you guys would implement as a future content?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is a lot of underground to Greenwood, which are like the crypts, right? Like the underground little micro areas that you go into.
No, I'm not
that.
talking about the underground. I'm not talking about crypts. I'm talking deeply, clear, just purely about the mines that the goblins are digging.
You know what? It's funny because actually, we are working on something literally like that, which we'll talk about in the future Meet the Devs.
It's basically something that I thought. Sorry to interrupt. It's basically something that I thought of when I saw your introduction of your announcement of the sorcerer, Witch. I think Witch is the new one, right? I thought to myself, like, it's something like a lore. You could introduce that to the game with the Witch. Something like, let's say, the goblins are digging the tunnels to find something unique, something like a valuable trinket or whatever. And the witch is also looking for that. That's how she's brought into the game. And in those tunnels, the goblins didn't only look to find that precious artifact, but they also woke up some, shadowy looking creatures that are living underground. And they woke them up, and now they emerge, and the witch is there, and that's how she... It's not Balrog. No, it's not Balrog, guys, from Lord of the Rings. It's like shadowy creatures from the void, like in the darkness.
No, I like the ideas. I think it's definitely something we need to do more with the game, is kind of embedding like more lore and story here to the different background stuff, to the different characters and what we're doing. So yeah, I mean, it's nothing we have planned necessarily, although there is something similar to what you're talking about that will be in the game at some point in time soon. So I'll just leave it there.
It's just something that I wanted to, nerd about, the fact of finding what's under there. Again, I say I'm sorry if this is the last question, and I let you guys close it with me, but no pressure.
No worries.
You've activated our imaginations, man. It's great.
This is something that I thought you guys like to dabble in, because you are that kind of nerds, which is why I mentioned Cole, because I saw the last video and I thought he's that kind of guy. But if the majority of your studio, Chris, is people who want to imagine things and brighten their world, basically, I believe this is something that could help you in your future. Anyway.
No, totally. Good, cool ideas.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for the question, for picking me, and keep up the good work, and have a good one.
All right.
Thanks,
Man. Thanks,
Thank
man.
you. Thanks for the question.
Appreciate
Thanks for the
the support.
suggestions. And there is, like Chris said, stuff we can't mention yet. But I wish you asked this question in a few more weeks. Okay, you guys want to end it with that one?
Do some announcement or something, or reminder to the community. I don't know if you did this already before.
I did not. Wait, what?
But I don't know what that is. Yeah. Other than we will be doing this again next week, either next week or the week after, another one of these with the 2 focus of the current classes, and then we'll also show some stuff with the Paladin. Maybe we'll finally get Mel on stage. You could show some stuff with the Paladin, work in progress. But yeah, I appreciate everyone's support. And yeah, we'll see you next time, I guess.
All right, thanks everyone. See you next time. Later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
You guys.